You may be aware that the long-awaited Renters Reform Bill got its first reading in Parliament last week, so I thought I'd quickly summarise the key headlines of this bill and what it means for you. So the first thing to note that at the minute this is just a bill. It's not yet law, it doesn't currently affect ongoing tenancies in the slightest bit. There's still several readings to go through. It then has to go through the House of Lords, back to Parliament until it's approved as a bill and comes anywhere close to becoming law. That whole process can easily take between 1 and 2 years, taking into account that there'll also be a transitional period as we move from the old system to the new system once the laws have been approved. So this isn't coming in today or tomorrow. We're going to have time to digest these proposals, to understand these laws, and to decide how exactly we're going to deal with them when they become a reality. So to begin with, the key headline is the abolition of Section 21, or as they're called, no-fault evictions. This is by far and away the most common form of ending a tenancy. When you tell us that you wish to end a tenancy, more often than not we serve a Section 21 notice. So the big headline is no more Section 21 notices, and this is designed to give tenants more security in their homes. However, it's important to note that Section 21 is not the only way to end a tenancy. So you're not having the right to take back possession of your property completely withdrawn from you. It just means we'll have to use a different mechanism in future, and that's known as Section 8. The key difference between Section 21 and Section 8 is that with Section 8 you have to cite a legitimate reason for ending the tenancy. Section 8 is going to be modified under these proposals and strengthened to give landlords more reasonable, legitimate reasons to take back possession of their property, including regular late rent payments, antisocial behaviour, the landlord wishing to sell their property, the landlord or a close family member wishing to move back into the property. All of those are currently covered within the proposals. And I say currently because this whole bill is going to be kicked around in Parliament for a good few months and the detail may still change. I don't think the headlines will, but some of the detail is still to be thrashed out. The next key headline is periodic tenancies. At the minute, when we let a property for you, we put an offer to you that includes the initial tenancy length, which is more often than not 12 months, but can be 6, 24, 36, really any length of tenancy. Well, that's going to become a thing of the past under these proposals as we shift to a single system of periodic tenancies. Periodic means month by month, rolling essentially. So under these proposals, every tenancy will start with a 1 month period, which will continue to roll month by month indefinitely until one party or the other serves notice to end the tenancy. And that whole setup can continue really indefinitely for as long as both parties are happy for the tenancy to continue. What this does mean is that there's a threat of a tenant moving in and changing their mind relatively quickly. A tenant would have to serve 2 months' notice to end the tenancy. At the moment, that's 1 month, so landlords are getting additional protection in terms of tenant notice periods, but there is the chance that a tenant can move into a property and relatively quickly change their minds. What I would say about that in terms of reassurance is that everything we've seen in the past 2 years plus has seen average tenancy lengths grow. Tenants by and large are staying in properties longer than they used to. And this whole system, the idea of periodic tenancies and every tenancy being one, is not really something that people have been asking for. So other than a few exceptions, I believe we'll see tenancies continue to be on average 18 to 24 months long. The next key takeaway from the bill is pets. And again, we've seen quite a few headlines about this. The government wants to make it easier for renters to have pets in their homes. And what the bill has said is that tenants will have an absolute right to request a pet in their home. The landlord must provide an answer within 42 days, and they can't unreasonably withhold consent for the tenant to have a pet. Now, the phrase unreasonably withhold consent at the moment is doing quite a lot of work here, and what we don't yet have is a full understanding of what will constitute that. What has been cited in the bill is issues to do with a superior landlord or a head lease, so that will be a legitimate defence for a landlord in terms of saying no to pets. What hasn't explicitly been said but must surely follow are concerns about overcrowding and the inappropriate nature of some properties, such as studio flats, when it comes to Great Danes and animals that really shouldn't, from a safety and animal cruelty point of view, be living in those homes. In terms of additional protection for landlords when it comes to having pets in their properties, the government has said that whilst we cannot and haven't since 2019 be able to take an additional pet deposit, they will permit landlords to insist that a tenant who has a pet takes out additional insurance that covers pet damage being caused during their tenancy. So landlords will be able to claim against either the deposit or the tenant's insurance policy should damage be caused to the home by a pet during the tenancy. Two more things. A mandatory redress scheme for landlords is going to be rolled out under these proposals. This will mean that every landlord has to be a member of a redress scheme. Currently, we, your letting agents, are members of a redress scheme, an ombudsman, and that means that tenants can refer complaints about our agency to that ombudsman, who will rule and decide what an appropriate course of action is. All this means is that tenants will have the same ability to approach an ombudsman concerning issues to do with their landlord. At the moment, really the only route of redress for a tenant is to go through the courts when they wish to take action against their landlord. The idea behind this ombudsman scheme will be that the courts will be freed up from the smaller, more menial issues which can be resolved by an ombudsman instead. And finally, the government have announced plans to establish a portal, a web portal for landlords, a form of database. Any landlord with a rental property prior to the property being marketed would have to first register their property on the portal. And the idea here is that any member of the public, any prospective tenant, will be able to look up this property and this landlord to see if they've had any prior convictions, penalties, offences, so that they know a little bit more about their landlord. The one thing that hasn't been made clear is what other things this portal might cover. There's been some talk that it might also cover compliance, that a landlord would have to upload their gas safety certificate, EICR, to this portal, but that's not been made clear yet. As it is, this is really coming under quite menial administrative tasks that of course can be taken care of by your agent. That is all for now. I must stress again that these are currently proposals. We are one step closer to them becoming a reality, but we do not and won't for some time know the full detail of what the eventual laws will be. But we'll of course keep you completely up to date along the way. Bye-bye.